toasting, joking too. Sipping and roasting is what we do. Light 'em up, drink 'em down. Whiskey and cigars all around. Cheers, y'all.
Well. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this fine radio program, podcast, and video extravaganza known internationally as the world-famous Smoking and Toasting. This is show number 336.
Halfway to 500.
Halfway to 500. You nailed it. You're hearing the dulcet tones of Alan Denny over there, who's co-host with me today. I'm Ian. Cruz is floating on the river, smoking a fat cigar, I'm sure, and having a good old time. And also in the studio with us today is Blake Niederhofer from Pint Brewery. What an amazing guest he's been in the past. We're hoping he keeps up to that same standard in the
Thanks
future.
for having me back. Looking forward to it.
Awesome. I'm super excited about it.
As long as he keeps bringing beers like these, it'll be great.
Oh, man, it's so nice. Today, we got a few things coming up for you today in the show. We've got, let's see, I'll have a cigar review shortly after this. We've got a few articles happening on here. Conor McGregor makes news.
Proper 12 sucks.
For punching out a team mascot.
Again? He punched somebody again?
He punched out a team mascot. If this is old news, it's not my fault. I just looked it up and thought it was funny.
No, I'm talking about, when he punched the old man in the bar.
Oh,
They said his stuff was bad.
No, this is definitely this was at a live sports venue. So we'll come up with that in a little bit. The other thing we have is Jupiter Wellness acquires a rapid alcohol blood detox safety drink called Safety Shot. We'll talk about that a little bit. I wonder how that's going to go.
I don't even have words.
And without further ado, we generally talk about cigars and craft spirits and craft beers. Today on the show, we're going to have quite a few selections from Lone Pint. We've got your, we've got your Berliner Weiss. We got a pale ale. What else do we have over here?
A couple of the Zythophile series.
So the Zythophile series, which are the big IPAs.
Yep.
A lot of times got a couple
Smash
of
IPA,
and my favorite
brown
Gentleman's
ale.
Relish. So good. The brown ale is so good. I can't stop drinking that when I'm there a lot of times. Did I miss one? Oh, and then the classic. You guys, the Yellow Rose Smash IPA is like one of the best IPAs in existence. This thing is amazing. So I'm always excited to have that. We've talked about that one on the show before, but it's okay to drink that again. And you have this other Zythophile here too, which is there are two different versions of it, right? You got a Smash IPA and Smash IPA, and then I don't know. We'll talk about the differences of that as we come along. Actually, so before I showed up at the studio today, I stopped over at Casa de Monte Cristo and had myself a cigar along with Alan Denny. Did you want to talk about your cigar at all, sir?
So I'll run through it really quick. But yeah, so I have found the last two times that we've been there, they had something old on the shelf. And it was the Epicarillo Club 52. And it's a beautiful, beautiful chestnut brown cigar that's just medium bodied. There's nothing fancy about the cigar. It was a part of the core line 6-7 years ago. It's been out of production for at least 6 years, and just to find a couple of them on the shelf, so there's no telling how long they've been there. But it's a fantastic, just nutty, earthy, woodsy cigar with heavy, thick smoke. It's very one-dimensional, stays the same from beginning to end. But it's a $7 cigar. Price to quality, 5.5.
Nice. I walked through, and as seems to be the standard now, Steve over there talked me into buying an expensive cigar yet again to do my review on. So I ended up with the Avo Seasons Summer this time. Now, I did an Avo Seasons a few months ago that I really did enjoy. This is the summer version that I picked up. This is a 6 5/8 by 50. How do you pronounce it? Diadema? Diadema. That's it's got some funny
Perfecto.
syllables in there. Yeah, Perfecto, basically, yes. So with the Ecuadorian Corojo wrapper, Mexican binder, and filler from the Dominican Republic, the appearance on this dark chocolate brown is a beautiful cigar. It's a gorgeous to look at, smooth with some veins overall, very firm feel overall. The classic Avo band in white and silver, and then a secondary band that has the beautiful Seasons band. And both of them are very small bands, so you don't cover up a whole lot of the cigar. The pre-light sniff on this, I got the gentle, like classic tobacco note, which is really nice. Like when you walk into a humidor, that kind of just tobacco wonderfulness. Sweet coffee and chocolate on the nose right off the bat. The pre-light draw is slightly spicy and with some sweet earth, slightly vegetable and a little floral, and vegetable in a good way, not like vegetable, like rotting vegetables kind of thing, but vegetable like vegetable garden kind of thing, because I know sometimes those words get a little bandied about, but the initial light on this, I got a blast of spice and coffee, earthy and nutty. Retrohale is sweet and spicy. Solid ash, perfect burn right off the bat. Of course, when you start with the Perfecto, it's got the smaller tip on it. It's so easy to light. The first third of the cigar, earthy and nutty, woody undertones, sweet coffee, light milk chocolate with a kiss of raisin, all riding on a bed of spicy pepper. Retrohale is sweet cedar and nutty. Solid ash, perfect burn. On the second third of this cigar, sweet creamy coffee, nuttiness, and chocolate dominate with a background of earth, leather, and pepper. Sweet raisin and dark fruit kind of weave throughout. Retrohale is sweet, nutty, woody, and pepper. I like that the retrohale on this cigar was kind of developing along with the cigar notes as well, which is a lot of fun. You don't always get that, especially if there's pepper involved. Sometimes you just get mostly the pepper. The last third of the cigar, sweet, nutty, and coffee move forward. Nutty flavors and coffee flavors move forward, while fruit and woody notes complement the spicy background. Leathery undertones appear here as well. The retrohale is spicy and sweet. Solid ash, perfect burn. This is an $18 cigar. That's an expensive cigar. It smoked forever, and it had gigantic puffs of smoke. Every time you took a puff, it was a huge puff of smoke that did great with smoke rings, which is a lot of fun. I give it a solid 5. This is as good as you want for an $18 cigar. When you spend that much money, it really should be a good cigar, and this is that good. So you could put it in that same neighborhood as that Almafuerte from Plasencia and things like that. They are worth the cost. Pretty amazing.
So you can at least rate this cigar.
So yes, unlike Cruz's cigar last week, we're going to give this one a rating. So that was a pretty good one. Let's see. I forgot to also tease our whiskey. You brought a whiskey today, so I was going to bring a whiskey, and then I totally forgot. But you, Alan, had my back, and when I mentioned it, you're like, "That's okay. I brought a whiskey. What'd you bring?"
So I brought a Dalmore that I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of Dalmore stuff. They've had the cigar malt, which is just one of my top 5 whiskeys of all time. It's absolutely great.
I used to buy it when the cigar malt was a different.
It was a little bit different blend back in the day.
It was a different blend back then, and it was like $65 to $75.
And now it's $100, a little over $100.
120-ish is what I usually see it around, but it's more refined too. It is.
I can't say it's better. It's different, but it's fantastic. But this is actually the Dalmore 12-year, but it's the sherry cask finish, and it's amazing. I thought I'd grab the port, but I actually grabbed the sherry cask.
So, I have no problems with sherry cask.
I don't either. I love
finished
whiskeys and sherry cask.
Yeah. So that's absolutely fantastic. So what do you guys have going on new at Lone Pint coming up here this summer? It's the summertime, so you guys are busy outside, huh?
Yeah, it is the summertime. It's just brutally hot. So
it's freaking hot.
Welcome to Texas.
We've shifted our hours a little bit to catch some more of that nighttime crowd, but we're still doing live music every weekend. We're still doing a lot of the music bingo and things on the weekends, and then we have food trucks every day, but Monday and Tuesday. So we're staying open and keeping all that stuff going. But yeah, it's warm. So come when it's cloudy and shady. But it's very nice. We've got tons of new beers out. We're doing some barrel aged stuff, and we've got some different beers that are actually going all the way out to the market, and then some stuff that's just for the tap room. So
how nice! You guys got such a nice area out there. When I first started playing in my band out there, you had about half of the stage that you have now, or maybe 2/3 of the stage you had now. But you extended that, and there's a roof over it and all that. It's really nice for a band to play out there, except for the ambient heat. You guys make it really nice out there. The whole yard area that you have is like tons of trees. It's real easy to find shade. It's really nice.
No, it is gorgeous, and it's definitely a country feel. And we have a lot of people come out with their kids and dogs and such. We have root beer for the kids, and we have that we make there on site. And we have, a lot of different things going on. We have cornhole and all that kind of stuff too. So.
Yeah, that's a nice area. There's a walking trail that goes right next to your brewery as well. That I see a lot of people. I guess the parking can be a little further off when it gets busy, and I see people walking up.
Yeah, so that runs about a mile, and we're almost right in the middle of it. And so there are parks on either side of that where the kids like to go and play. And but yeah, it's a crushed granite path that runs right through the middle of that part of town. So it is very nice.
That's pretty nice.
I'm really looking forward to. So y'all are about 15 minutes away from one of my bars, and I'm really looking forward to visiting there in October, November when it gets down to about 40 degrees, and y'all have got the new stouts or porters out.
For sure.
And it's so hot right now to do anything.
It is super hot right now. When you live down here in Houston and surrounding area, you kind of get used to the heat, but it's still hot, no matter what. It's still, you're gonna feel it. But you take care of it. You guys got water out and everything like that. Make sure everyone stays hydrated. Well, you got to make sure yourself stays hydrated too, because even though beer is primarily water, you can't just rely on that.
It's easy to get in trouble trying to drink beer all day.
That's the truth. So you brought quite a few beers here. So I want to go ahead and start off today with the absolute classic, the one we've all tried before, which is the Yellow Rose Smash IPA. And I'm doing that for two reasons. One, we got just a couple moments left in this segment. And two, I'm thirsty. So I'll just grab your beer and open it. So this is in my mind one of the absolute. I'm sorry about that.
Oh, you're fine.
One of the absolute best IPAs out there, and I'm putting that up there with the in my mind Dogfish Head 60 minute, which I think is brilliant. I'm putting that out there with the Bell's Two Hearted Ale, those kind of things. Like, this is absolutely one of the best IPAs I know of.
Well, you know what a fan of IPAs I am.
You're not always a big fan.
So this is a small pour, but there have been some. I am learning to appreciate IPAs more and more. It seems like 5-6 years ago, maybe a little longer, when they got super popular and they were just overly hoppy, and that's when I got introduced to them, and I didn't like them at all. And the more I've tried, especially being on this show, the more I like the ones that are really grapefruit forward.
Well, you're going to probably enjoy this one quite a bit then. So, yeah, I mean, balance is always something that's been really important in beer. And we've seen kind of an arms race over time in IPAs. And it's died down a little bit now because everybody went towards the, fruit juice IPAs. But this one is more classical than that, but it does have a lot of those grapefruit and kind of berry notes to it. But we're definitely going for balance and not so much just melt your teeth off.
And along with all those big juicy flavors you have in here, you still have a nice bitter kick on the very end of the palate, but also a little bit of a sweet malty thing that just lingers just a touch enough to kind of counteract that, so you don't feel like you're just like chewing on a pine cone the whole time. Like, that's one of the things when they're unbalanced that you get. This thing is absolutely fantastic. We're going to take a short break right now, go into our next segment in just a few minutes. We'll see you. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to this fine radio show, podcast, and program known internationally as Smoking and Toasting.
Hi, Mom.
Thank you. See, it was missing earlier, right?
I forgot. Well, you usually do it when Cruz is reading.
That's right. So today's a little bit. I'm working this out. I got to work out. I got to be Cruz today. I got to channel Cruz. And so anyway, today it was brought to light that I forgot to do the drinking news teaser headline, and today's drinking news teaser headline is
"Be careful what you put in your hole."
Not so bad. So I was kicking around, and on AP there's an article. Conor McGregor knocks out Heat mascot in bizarre promotion at NBA Finals. There's a great picture here. I need to send this over to Adam so he can put it up there. Of Conor McGregor giving a left hook to the Heat mascot, and he's falling off to the side. So this promotion apparently was for some kind of spray that you spray on for to alleviate pain if you have muscle pain or something like that.
Oh, that's that new Proper 12 spray.
So, former USC champion Conor McGregor knocked out the Miami Heat mascot in a mid-game bit that went wrong. More specifically, Bernie, the man more specifically, Bernie, space, more specifically, the man who occupies Bernie's costume, Bernie is the mascot, of course, briefly sought medical attention Friday night after taking 2 punches from Conor McGregor during a third-quarter stoppage of Game 4 of the NBA Finals between the Heat and Denver Nuggets. The Heat said Saturday that the employee, who was not identified, received pain medication and was resting at home. So McGregor was there as a promotional gimmick for a pain relief spray and was booed by many in the Miami crowd even before the bit started. Like, he just walks out and starts getting booed. That sucks. Sucks for Conor, that is. The Flame mascot was wearing oversized boxing gloves and a robe akin to what a fighter would wear entering the ring for a bout. McGregor hit Bernie with a left hook. Bernie is the mascot, of course. McGregor hit Bernie with a left hook, knocking him down, then punched the mascot again after he hit the floor. McGregor then tried to spray the mascot with the pain relief product, while several members of the Heat's in-game promotional team dragged Bernie off the court.
Who thought it was a good idea to have Conor McGregor, an MMA champion, hit a NBA mascot?
Well, you would think he could pull a punch, right? Maybe? Like, he's hitting a... make it
He
look
hit
fun.
an old man in a bar for making fun of him. I mean, gee.
Like, it could have been a comical punch, the wind up the fist and throw it, kind of thing. Could have been anything, right?
It could have been one of those Three Stooges punches.
Right. Like, I mean, I don't understand what goes through that guy's head. That's pretty amazing. We've decided that we have to have his whiskey on the show at some point in time because... Well, I've had it before. Have you had it?
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah. Have you had
I have not had
the proper 12? And he sold it now to like for I don't even know how much money it was. Sold it now and it's on sale. It's not very expensive. It's more than it should be, I think. Well, let me not give that away because one day we're going to have it on the show and we'll do a proper. Now you see, I use the word proper. We'll do a proper review of it. But I will tell you that when I tried it, it was somewhat akin to when you're, looking at what went wrong in a car wreck and you can't stop finding things going wrong.
Well, be
with
careful talking bad about it in case he's in the area.
Well, I suppose it's that.
So instead of malording Cruz, you're going to proper him?
Well, hey, I'll make news if I end up getting hit by Conor McGregor. At least I'll have my moment of fame, right? I'll spend my 15 minutes wisely, as they say. So. Anyway, yeah, I just thought that was kind of a funny story. Like, yeah, you figure you'd learn how to pull a punch. The picture is priceless. The poor Bernie the mascot's going down pretty hard. We'll be back in just a few minutes, ladies and gentlemen, with our next segment. We'll be trying some beer. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Smoking and Toasting podcast radio program and all kinds of things that we say into your ear. We're having a good time today. We got Alan Denny in here. Alan Denny's been on the show.
What's up, folks?
How many times have you been on this show?
A bunch. A bunch.
Innumerable times.
The first 25, I couldn't find the place. I had to Google Maps it. I can drive straight here now, and that doesn't include all the off-site times.
We gave Alan an open invitation to Podcrash anytime he wanted, and boy,
I've done
did
that
he.
a couple of times.
Oh, that was a lot of fun. We also have Blake Niederhofer in the studio from Lone Pint. This is up in Magnolia, Texas, so right about an hour's drive from here.
Almost Idaho.
Yeah, well, so now
If there's no traffic.
So now that 249 goes all the way through, I mean, you can get there, I think, with one stoplight. So it's a lot faster than it used to be.
That is pretty nice. It's
I
not
got-
a bad drive. No, it's just it's not. And for those of you listening, maybe outside of the Houston area or outside of Texas, an hour's drive down here is kind of like going to the other grocery store for most people. I mean, it's just everything in Houston is an hour from everything else in Houston, no matter where you're at. And then if you add traffic in, you add complications from there.
So
Sure, turning on your car costs 30 minutes. For sure.
Yeah, just to get the air going.
That's not a lie.
So while we were on a break, I wanted to look because I know y'all have a new affiliate in Idaho, which is awesome. Guess what the temperature in Idaho is right now?
What's the temperature in Idaho?
85 degrees. Y'all are so lucky.
So lucky. Wish I was in Idaho.
The concrete in Houston is melting right now.
Yeah, well, it gets pretty hot here. Like, after it rains, most places when it rains, it cools everything down. When it rains here, it turns everything into a sauna. You can just see the steam rising from the concrete.
Yep.
And if you wear glasses like I do and you do, like you walk outside and you just can't see.
Yeah, fogged up immediately.
Just gone. So let's see. We're going to jump into this Nitro Gentleman's Roast. We actually have an order. We have an order that we're going to try these beers in, and we're going from less hoppy to hoppy, I believe.
Yeah, we're trying to make sure we can taste all of them. So.
Right. So the Zytophile are pretty big on the hoppy side. That was a good sound effect used there. And pour hard. This is a Nitro Gentleman's Relish, which is your brown ale. This is one of my absolute go-tos anytime I'm at your brewery, and sometimes when I'm at my grocery store, too. So good. So good. Can you tell me a little bit more about this brown ale?
Yeah, so this is a Northern English-style brown ale. We joke that pretty much the only thing American in it is the labor in the water. So we use British hops and malt to make it, but it's really nice, roasty. We use some chocolate malt in it, so there's no chocolate actually in it. It's just a heavily roasted wheat, but you get a lot of those light chocolatey notes. And it is a nitro, so instead of us carbonating it with CO2, it is a blend of CO2 and nitrogen. So the nitrogen gives it that smaller bubble, which gives it
kind of a creamier mouthfeel to it, right?
Most people are familiar with Guinness, so I tell people that that's kind of where to start on the mouthfeel if you're trying to describe it to someone. But it's got that real nice roasty creaminess to it, and it's a lower ABV beer too. So if you're trying to be good, this is one of the ones on the lower end of our beers.
This is a funny one because when I'm playing out there and I come walking up to the band and they always see me with these like dark beers looking like this, they think, oh my gosh, it's got to be like a monster beer. But this is what is this coming in 5? Slightly over 5?
So this one's 6.2.
Oh, 6.2. So it's not even as big as just some of the IPAs that they're drinking out there. So
and that's a common misconception with stouts is that they all have to be big. One of the reasons that stouts are sweet is when you roast a malt, you can kind of think of like making toast. When you toast bread, you get that kind of caramelization, or the Maillard effect is what it's called. But when that happens, the sugars almost caramelize and they get to be longer and unfermentable. So you end up after fermentation with a lot of residual sugars that lend it some of the sweetness that you get in stouts. So the common misconception is that, it's a stout or a brown, so it has to be, dark beers or high ABV. And that's often not the case because a lot of the sugars are not available for the fermentation part.
Yeah, and case in point, you mentioned Guinness a little while ago. Guinness, everyone thinks is such a huge beer, and it's under 5%.
It's just thick.
Sure, it's actually one of the beers that they suggest pregnant women to drink.
Yeah, this is pretty crazy, right?
Yeah.
So let me ask you a question. Well, at Lone Pint, who comes up with the idea we're going to do this style of beer? Like, how does that happen? Is that you? Is that you and a crew of people?
So it is. There are kind of 4 of us that got everything started. It's me and my wife Heather, and then her brother Trevor and his wife Christy. That's kind of been the genesis of a lot of our beers. We do have another brewer that's put some recipes in, but it's usually we sit down and kind of talk about, this is what we're looking for. I have this inspiration, and a lot of times they work out, and sometimes they don't. We've we've made some or test batch some that
sometimes
we weren't
we just cook brats.
Sometimes they go away. Yeah, that's right. But no, it's a committee thing. But at the end of the day, we just brew what we like to drink, and we've been lucky enough to where we've had enough support from those drinking the beer that's been okay. We haven't really chased a lot of the fads like the New England IPAs and some of the stuff, the pastry stouts and the beers that taste like Fruity Pebbles or Lifesavers or whatever.
Well, so
Please do.
They're out there. They're
you're
just not
talking
made by
about
us.
all his style of beers
Yeah,
there.
I've got
yeah.
a whole refrigerator
So
at the
one
house.
of the things,
that's cool.
one of the things I noticed, like every brewery, like you start visiting some breweries or get to know some of their beers. Every brewery kind of just with their beers has their own kind of personality. And so if you go up to like Equal Parts Brewery, I always think of them. Their lager is outstanding. They've got they're on their lighter beers are so good. When you go to someone like Spindle Tap, you think of the hazy IPA, for me at least. And then like if you go out to Conroe, to Southern Star, I mean, I can't think of anything but their Buried Hatchet because that's amazing.
Yeah, their Nitro Buried Hatchet's one of my go-to
Yeah,
beers when
it's
I
so
see it
good.
out.
Like
Yeah.
so everyone just has their kind of their own personality. You guys like this. So this brown ale is one that immediately attracted me to it. But you've got this great balanced IPA, and then on top of that, you have so many different styles happening. Like when you go up to the tap room, you have more than this.
Sure.
You have lots more than this, and some of them are going to be barrel aged, and you had one that was a pepper barrel aged. What was that?
Yeah,
one?
I mean, we've done a ton of different stuff. But yeah, we did one with Thai chilies and lemongrass with our double IPA, and we've done several with chilies. We did one with yellow rose and habaneros that turned out really well.
That's so crazy.
Yeah, it's wild to kind of put some of those flavors together, but if done in appropriate moderation, they turn out pretty well usually.
How many of y'all's beers are standard? Like if I go out today, if I go out in 2 years, that beer is still going to be there.
So we have 4 of what we call core beers.
Right.
That would be our Zeno's Pale Ale, which we have here today. We have Yellow Rose. We have the Gentleman's Relish, our brown ale, and then we have Jabberwocky, our double IPA.
Okay. Because there's a couple of breweries that maybe have one, and then
Sure.
there's some that it's one of the breweries. I don't want to take away from y'all, so I'm not even going to mention them today, but they rotate everything, and it's like I'll find
At all
something that I
times.
love, and then that's a one-time deal. Like, don't fall in love with it because you grabbed a 4-pack. It's not going to be there when you go back, and
Well,
that's really frustrating.
I don't think that's a bad thing necessarily. Like your brewery has kind of a blend of that because you go through so many things that you can get at the brewery, but you also always have this core line.
Sure. So I mean, we're set up differently because we started at a different time than a lot of the other breweries. We were kind of early, and when we started, you weren't allowed to sell beer in your tap room. So we were always very focused from day one on distribution and getting beer out to the stores. And it's super hard to go into an HEB and say, okay, well, we're going to have something new on the shelf every week, and you're never going to be able to get data on it. And if you want
Right.
more of it, it's gone. Too bad, and you just can't do that. And so it's fun, and these people that are the breweries that are, tap room driven, where they do most of their business out of the tap
Ingenious
room.
would be one of those.
Yeah, I mean, they
Cylinder.
can, they can put out a new beer every week, and
That's what they do.
and
Yeah.
well, and that works for a while, and then the only problem is sometimes that falls off, and what happens if there's not a line around the building, because you can't get a lot of those beers at
Right.
places where you normally shop. You have to go and
that's a
and,
destination kind of
and
thing.
when it was
definitely.
when this deal, especially pre-pandemic when it was really booming, you would see these long lines and people standing outside trying to get these beers, and so people aren't driving to Magnolia to stand in long lines. They'd
No.
rather go to their HEB down the road and
But-
be able to buy something they know.
But
they
out of
like.
curiosity, you said because the TABC laws have changed over the last quite a few years actually, and they've changed a lot. Like they've what in the last 5 to 7 years especially, right?
Yeah, I mean, so
and so when you very first started, you couldn't sell beer out of your tap. You didn't have a tap room. You didn't bother with it because you can't sell beer out of it anyway, right? Did you do what do you call it?
the tokens.
Tours and tokens and things
Sure.
like that.
I mean, so I don't remember what year it changed. It's been some time now, but when we started, you weren't allowed to sell beers, and so we would do the tour and tokens for $10, and we gave away the glassware because we didn't have a dishwasher. We didn't take credit cards for like the first year and a half. I mean, it was just a completely different world back then.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, now it's completely different. You can buy on site. You can take beer to go.
Well, it seems like they actually found something that makes more sense now, because before you couldn't sell beer on premises, but you could give people a token and give away some beer.
Sure.
Technically, I mean, it's kind of a weird. It was a
weird-
weird law, and
Yeah.
I'm kind of glad it's gone because now I can go up directly and be like, "Hey, I want your beer," and get it. Or I don't know. Do you guys do crowlers?
We do crowlers, and that's the cans that we can fill off the tap wall. We also do growlers, the large glass or stainless growlers that people bring. Yeah, we absolutely do those. The current TABC law is that we can fill or sell up to 288 ounces per person per day. So we get a lot of calls like, "Hey, can I come up and buy a keg from the brewery?" No. Unfortunately,
you
not.
have to get it
because,
from one of the
you
one of the
you can
outlets
buy
from
it
a
through
Specs or a Total Wine or
something
yeah.
like that. We're only allowed to sell 288, and 288 ounces sounds weird, but it's a 24 pack of 12-ounce cans. So it's a case equivalent per person per day.
That's a lot of beer per person, but that sucks when you're trying to sell a keg for a party.
Yeah.
It is unfortunate, but we have made a lot of progress, and there's still more to go.
Have you guys made a lot of progress in getting into local bars and places like that as far as cans or kegs?
Yeah, so we're distributed all over the state right now. We're in bars, restaurants, and grocery stores from Beaumont to El Paso and
Love that.
McAllen to Amarillo. We just recently got licensed in Louisiana and New Mexico, and we're doing some negotiations with distributors to get us out there.
Nice.
Yeah, not quite Idaho yet.
Not quite Idaho.
Yeah, but one day. So we are still growing, and we are still moving out. But yeah, I mean, the bars and things have they slowed down quite a bit during the pandemic, but they're definitely coming back, and people are going out again. So
yeah, it's
that's
so
a good
nice
thing.
to be able to actually go out and do stuff now and not have to worry about it. And it's brought it down to normal where some people still wear a mask, and that's okay. Like nobody looks at them funny and things like that. That's fine.
Do I need to bring my immunization card if I come up to that?
That's not necessary. And most of our stuff's outside, so you're more than able to stay an appropriate distance from anybody you don't want to
Free
be
and
around.
open. Your bar staff is absolutely wonderful. Last time I was there, we had a lot of laughs. And like I said, like when I was playing there, they let me go into the cooler to cool off. That was so nice.
Yeah, yeah, I do that a couple times a day.
Because it was, when it's tapping 100 degrees outside and you're working, you get pretty sweaty.
Yeah, Blake was talking about after they did inventory that day, their inventory was really light after you
Yeah,
left the
it's
cooler.
weird.
Some of these cans fell down and sprung a leak in the very top of them.
Yes, but I rescued all of them. It's fine.
I wanted to make sure that didn't happen. No, that was absolutely. I love this beer. This. Not a lot of people do brown ales. Like it's one of those styles that's a little less popular, I think. St. Arnold had one for years and years and years, and they stopped making it. I don't think they even have anything like that anymore. I don't know who else does a brown ale.
So it
Local.
unfortunately, the people that like them love them. Everybody
It's
else
not as
doesn't
huge
care
a
for
seller,
them.
yeah.
And being a hot area, they're just not as popular. Even though like this one is lighter on the palate and tastes lighter, people see dark and they're like, it's too hot for dark.
See, I have no
it's
problems
not.
with that.
Me
I'll
either.
drink this brown ale or a barley wine floating down the river, no problems. But that's me, I guess. I just
Give me a milkshake stout and 100 degrees. I'm good.
don't care. What's your go-to when you're like, I'm just gonna grab a beer?
Zeno's, which we're getting to in a minute, is so I'm a big IPA guy. Zeno's, our pale ale, is kind of we call it like Yellow Rose. It's like Yellow Rose's little brother, and so it's a pale ale, so it's still hoppy enough to enjoy, and it's light enough. It's lower ABV. It's 5.5 versus the 6.8 of Yellow Rose, so it's easier to
little
drink
more
a few of
sessionable.
them. Yeah. And it's 39 IBUs as opposed to 68, so it's one of those
All
things
right.
that we're able to have a few of and enjoy.
Awesome. We're gonna crack open some of those coming up in our next segment. We'll see you back in just a few. All right, welcome back. Last segment of the first hour. So those of you who are only hearing the first hour of this, you can go on to our podcast mediums, or you can go on to onto YouTube and watch the rest of the show. If we leave you, hanging without all the answers.
That really sucks because they have to do that just to hear drinking news.
Drinking news is always fun.
Absolutely.
That's the best. Drinking news is our most popular segment that is not always about drinking, but is most fun to listen to while drinking, which we are going to do. We're going to actually try Mein Schultz.
Mine shots.
Mein Schatz?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So, I mean, what do you know about it?
Not much.
Not much. So what made you decide to do a Berliner Weiss?
So, we don't do a lot of sours at Lone Pint. This is kind of our first that we've done that's really been out to the market. The Berliner Weiss is a nice change. One of the reasons that we didn't do something like this before is we talked a little bit about law changes. Historically, you had to have two different brewers' permits. You had to have one to make something below 5% and one to make something above 5%. So
nothing frustrating about that.
right, and so we only had the big one because we didn't feel like we needed the little one, especially when you're young and early. We didn't have the money for both. So
What if you wanted it to be exactly 5%?
I think that rolls to the bottom, the
Okay.
lower one. But so anyway, this is 4.7%, so definitely the lightest beer that we have commercially available right now. Mein Schatz literally translates to my treasure. A lot of people use it as kind of like my sweetie or my honey or whatever. So, but this one, typically sours are soured using bacteria. So instead of the yeast eating the sugars that we get out of the malt and creating CO2 and alcohol, the bacteria eats it and creates acids. And the acids are what we perceive as sour. Right. So like things like citric acid or lactic acid.
Right.
This one, we actually use a special kind of yeast. So the yeast is actually creating those acids instead of bacteria. So this isn't a bacterial sour. So it's actually very technologically groundbreaking that this is even out there. So it's pretty
That's
neat.
pretty awesome. So I
Oh,
love that. Berliner Weiss in
perfect.
general, Berliner Weiss are usually a little lower ABV. I think they usually come in somewhere between like 3.5 to 4.5%.
Yeah.
For most of them, they're usually a little more sessionable.
And a lot of times you see them served with different syrups and things. Ours is good on its own. I have had several people tell me that it is good with a number of other things. I've had people make Berliner Weiss mimosas and Bloody Marys and put tahini in them and all sorts of things. So.
Oh, that's great. So the first time I ever tried this, and I love sour ales. They don't generally go pair well with cigars, because the flavor profiles are just very oppositional, I think. But the first time I tried this, I was smoking a cigar, and I was like, wow, this is really good. Anyway. Like, even though I had like the cigar flavor in my mouth, and then I tried this, and when I went back and forth, it was no problem. It was interesting because it's kind of a mild Berliner Weiss, if you will.
Yeah, and the tartness from the sour is there, but it's not overwhelming. Like I said, we're not huge sour folks at Lone Pint, so we wanted to have enough sour to be appropriate, but not so much that you're.
Yeah, this comes
blown
across kind of fruity and a little sour right on the outside of the palate. It's really fun.
I totally get where you say somebody could make a mimosa with this.
Yeah.
I mean,
It is also quite bubbly and fun. The mouthfeel on it is kind of a lighter and very bubbly kind of thing going on.
Yeah, it is nice.
Super fun. So the Berliner Weiss style ale. Not again. A lot of people aren't making the straight up Berliner Weiss. You see a lot of sour ales nowadays, but you don't see that. I used to get the St. Arnold had one called Boiler Room that I used to buy all the time. They had a bomber that was great. I used to get that quite often. They stopped making that, so it's nice to have this one come around and have those choices. I love those kind of off styles anyway.
Yeah, so this is a seasonal of ours, and we do plan to make it again, but it'll be a yearly release.
Is this a spring seasonal kind of thing?
I think we released this one early this year. It would probably be best in the summertime, so we're gonna have to look at that when we get to next year because it is so light and kind of refreshing.
It does have a light, crispy refreshingness to it. And just enough, like if you see this in the store, snap it up. Just enough fruitiness to make it fun. All right, that's it for this segment. We're going to go on to our second hour next. We will see you back shortly. And for those of you who don't have the second hour on your radio program, go see us on YouTube or listen to us on the podcast. back to Smoking and Toasting. This is the second hour of the show. We're making it through. Today we have Cruz out on vacation. He's out cruising down the river even.
This show has absolutely the best music coming back from a commercial. Like, it almost made the commercial worthwhile.
It's pretty good. That's pretty good. Some of those tunes are from an old band of mine, even.
Really?
How funny is that? Yes. So not that last one though. That's from one of Cruz's favorite old bands, and I don't remember who it is, but it's pretty awesome. The let's see, newsworthy stuff. That's what we're getting to. So after the Conor McGregor incident, there, if I can get back out of this. So I was poking around, and sometimes you see stuff and you're like, what is going on here? Jupiter Wellness is apparently a company, and they acquired the world's first rapid alcohol detox drink called Safety Shot to launch fourth quarter of 2023. It claims to lower blood alcohol content by up to 50% in 30 minutes.
Well, I imagine.
Go.
The only way they're doing that is with some kind of an energy drink that gets your heart racing super fast, because we all know coffee doesn't work, water doesn't work, only time.
Yeah, I mean, up to this point, time is literally the only thing that makes it happen, because your body has to have time to process this.
That's why I'm thinking if this is something that gets your heart racing super fast, which makes the blood move faster to get it through the kidneys to purify the blood faster.
Yeah, unless there's something that goes in there and grabs onto that molecule.
I mean,
I can't even.
They're sciencing it, right? It's bizarre, because we've all had those hangover cure shots and things like that.
A joke. Talking about this article though, the one thing I hope doesn't happen is I hope when people start writing in emails, they don't start asking for medical advice, because none of us are doctors on here whatsoever. Paging Dr. Cruz, paging Dr. Cruz.
I can't give you any medical advice.
I love the relationship advice from last week, though.
Jupiter Wellness, Inc., a diversified company that supports health and wellness, announced that it has executed an asset purchase agreement with GBB Drink Lab, Inc. As per the agreement, all operating assets, blah, blah, blah. Including the revolutionary Safety Shot beverage. Created by a doctor, validated by research. As we know, like when you science that, you certainly can't jumble those numbers or words. Created by a doctor and validated by research. That's pretty ambiguous, right?
Yeah.
Does it say a doctor of what?
It just says created. I'm literally reading it. Created by a doctor and validated by research. So there you have it.
A doctor of education, and they took 4 of these after a beer.
I mean, Safety Shot helps your body break down alcohol faster while aiding in recovery and rehydration. So, I mean, that sounds kind of like a miracle thing, doesn't it?
Sounds like they're drinking a bunch of water.
Sounds like what we should drink is some of this awesome pale ale.
Yeah, I'd rather drink.
Let's get on to beer. I'm going to keep talking about this, but I want to go right into beer after this. That was awesome. The can spritzed a little bit. It's like getting that little shower,
It's warming up on the table, so.
This product, here it is. This product is formulated with scientifically proven ingredients. Not ingredients, but scientifically proven ingredients.
They're scientifically proven to be ingredients.
They're proven to be scientific ingredients, yes. The product is formulated with scientifically proven ingredients that stop your body from absorbing alcohol into your blood, reducing your blood alcohol content, and getting you out of an intoxicated state. I mean, where's the fun in that? The consumers are now more aware of the benefits associated with the consumption of hangover cure products, which help improve metabolism, reduce nausea caused due to excessive alcohol consumption, and can hydrate the body. The global hangover cure products market size is expected to reach $4.67 billion by 2028. I'm going to read that one more time. The global hangover cure products market size is expected to reach $4.67 billion by 2028. So we need to start making some hangover cures, gentlemen.
Sounds like it.
Like, we need a market share there.
Here's the thing. Hear me out. small little, like the 4 hour,
Yeah.
the 4 hour. So something that size, white with a red cross on it, hangover, and alcohol cure. And in the bottle, water.
Right.
100% tasteless,
Drink.
all natural.
Drink 17 of these throughout the night while imbibing alcohol, and it's proven to lessen your hangover by, well, I don't know, 30%?
Yeah, 100%. And it's
Make it
nothing
up.
but
Doesn't
water.
matter.
Listen, I've done research.
And it would be medically
And I have a
approved
doctor.
ingredients.
That's right. I have a doctor, and I've done research. I'm not a doctor, but I play one on the radio.
Paging Dr. Barry, white courtesy phone.
That's right. Oh my goodness, I can't believe that. Safety Shop business segment alone is forecasted to produce approximately $25 million in revenues and $4 million in negative. Woo, they're shooting for the stars on this one, right? I don't know. A hangover cure, like or a sober drug.
Well, you do have to hope that they work the safety dance into the safety shot marketing program.
Oh, it has to be in there, right? You can dance if you want to, but don't leave this shot
Right
behind.
behind.
Oh, we're writing it for them. We need to get paid. So this is
I'm hoping it's not something that they say, actually, you take this before you drink, and then it makes you throw everything up that's alcohol. That's
See, you got about 4 hours, buddy. That's all coming up.
It's just Ipecac.
You'll be fine in the morning.
I have found that the best thing that drunk Alan can do when Alan is drunk is leave drunk Alan water on the nightstand, so that when he wakes up, first thing I grab is water, a couple of Tylenol, a couple of Advil. Drunk Alan feels a lot better in the morning.
Yeah, that's helpful.
But sometimes drunk Alan wants to screw with sober Alan, and he leads a glass of vodka.
Yeah. So bad.
I have taken a drink to bed thinking, hey, you know what? I'll probably, want this later. Wrong.
No,
Yeah.
No, you don't.
No, or the worst part is you wake up in the morning and you smell it, and you're like, oh.
And it's not the drink, it's you.
The perils of drinking a little too much, or a lot too much.
Too much
Or
debauchery.
much too much.
This is fantastic.
So
Thank you.
the
is
Xenos
really good.
Pale Ale, tell me how this came about.
So, speaking of drinking, Xenos
Which
are
I
pale
am.
ale. And so my wife and her brother both went to Penn State, and that's where they kind of fell in love with craft beer and started drinking. There is a bar at Penn State called Xenos, and so we named a beer after them and ripped off their IP, like brewers do. But it was all in
That's
total
okay.
respect.
That's in Pennsylvania.
Yes.
We're in Texas.
Yeah, no, exactly. And
Lone Pine. Y'all
we
get a
buy
cease
tons of
and
their merch and
desist
such.
tomorrow.
Yeah, right. Yeah, we've been expecting it, but it is definitely an homage to those guys up there in Pennsylvania doing a great job. But so Xenos, like I said, is similar in flavor to some of the flavors that you get from Yellow Rose. It's the same malt characteristics, and then the hops we use. It does use a little bit of Mosaic, but we use a couple other ones as well. Citra and Denali mainly, but it's a very nice, light, easy drinking pale ale. It has a really great flavor, and it's great on these 100-degree Houston days.
So this has a crispy kind of feel to it overall, and then on the tail end of it, it has that nice hoppy thing with just a touch of grapefruit kind of finish, like just a little bit, not like super bitter, but really really nice.
And not ruby red grapefruit, pure regular grapefruit.
Yeah.
Straight
So
up,
it's not overly, it's not sweet. It's crisp.
no stevia on it, none of that stuff.
So we like I said, we use Mosaic in there, and that Mosaic, the hop, is the same hop we use in Yellow Rose, which has a lot of that grapefruit.
Right,
notes to
right.
it. But we also use Citra, which is an amazing hop, and then another one called Denali we use in the dry hopping. But it's a very nice, like I said, just hoppy, but approachable, easy drinking pale ale.
Do you have any new stuff, like you found some new kind of hop or malt that you're going to use that's coming down the board you want to talk about?
Yep. Actually, in the next segment, we're going to be talking about our Zythophile series, which are all single hopped beers that we
love
use
those.
experimental hops with. So yeah, we'll be talking about that in the next segment.
I love the
In
art
depth.
on them. I'm not sure if I'm going to like the IPA, but the art's amazing.
Yeah, the art's
Well,
really
thank
really
you,
cool.
yeah.
I love also like the how you get the names for for the beers. I love those stories. It makes me so happy.
Who does the art for y'all's cans? I'm just curious.
So we have a gentleman that works for us. His name is Alex, and he has worked with us for a very long time, before we were in package at all. And when we started looking at putting out Yellow Rose in the large champagne bottles, for those of you guys that remember that, we were kind of shopping different designers and artists, and he said, that's what my background is. I don't know if you guys realize that, but I would like an opportunity to bid on it and show you some of my art and show you kind of what I'm thinking. And he blew us away. I mean, he's really, really talented.
I love that.
And so he's still our head cellarman, and he works in the brewery every day, but he also, in his other time, does all of our labels and a great deal of our other design work.
That's amazing
That's
to
fantastic.
find in-house like that. You never know, because people can just have other things they do in their life that fall into place like that. It's fantastic.
We really lucked out with him. Is a good thing.
I absolutely love that. So today we had quite a few things going on. I see you brought, this is one of my favorite little things you brought, by the way. This is a bottle opener, but wait, there's more. It actually will open up your can here, but this right here.
That's amazing. It's pointed. It looks like
This right here is made
Yeah, so it's a shotgun can opener.
to open a can so you can do a shotgun. Like, where did you guys, you guys just came up with this?
Oh no! I wish we did. We would probably be making more money than sitting around making beer. But
So you found somebody that had these and
Sure.
then had your name on it.
Yeah.
This is great swag, by the way.
It is.
This is like some of the most fun that's come in here, and this is such a simple little thing too. I find that to be absolutely fun. We're gonna try this out, by the way. I've got a just so you know, if you stick around the end of the show, I've got a Nitro Gentleman's Relish sitting over here, and I chose the Nitro Gentleman's Relish because smaller bubbles, easier to drink, and then on top of that, it's probably not gonna go everywhere when I pop it open.
we'll see.
He's got that sense of doubt.
I don't know that I've seen anybody shotgun a relish before. You might be one of the first.
We're gonna have fun with that. I don't know if you know Mark Nichols.
Oh, of course I know. Mark.
Yeah, so one of the times he was on our show was absolutely hilarious. We were talking about our cigars,
And
and
you can
apparently
call him by his stage name, Hagrid.
he was on the show one time, and apparently he got a little bit bored, and so he was sitting right where you are, and me and Cruz were talking about cigars, and just in the meantime, he starts shotgunning a beer, and the look on Cruz's face was absolutely golden. That was one of the most fun. Yeah, Mark's always fun. I run into him on occasion. It's like everybody in the industry seems to know that guy.
Yeah, well, he's put in some of the best tap walls around. He's truly
Yeah.
a genius when it comes to that kind of stuff. He's a good dude.
Absolutely. Quality Draft is his company. He's been on the show a few times. All right, that's it for this segment. We're going to be back in just shortly. We'll have some whiskey to show you. Woo-hoo. Pretty excited about that. The Dalmore. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to this fine radio show, program, podcast, and all those other things as we whisper sweet nothings into your ear.
Hi, Mom.
So, on my way out the door today, I grabbed my ukulele and I grabbed my lighter because I was going to go smoke a cigar and everything, and I realized that once I met up with Alan for lunch that I forgot to bring a whiskey.
I did not.
And Alan goes, I brought one. So he saved the show.
It's not
Like
the first time.
single-handedly
Way to be
saved.
prepared.
It was pretty amazing, actually. So he brought a Dalmore Sherry Cask Select, aged 12 years. And by the way, I like Scotch. Scotch is so good. They have almost no information about this on the bottle.
You know, Dalmore's not real big on mincing words. They
No,
put great product
it's
in their
whiskey.
bottle, and it's
So this
it's
is a
Scotch.
Highland. If you're looking for a style of whiskey that it is, Highland is usually a little bit less peaty.
Yes.
And it usually has some fruitier notes and brighter notes overall. However, look at the color of this.
Yeah, it's
This
a
is-
great color.
I'm a big fan of sherry cask finishes.
too.
I don't think I've tried this one, but I have, and I have on my shelf at almost all times the Glenmorangie La Santa, which is a sherry cask.
That's a
finish.
fantastic.
It's absolutely fantastic.
The Glenfiddich sherry cask is absolutely amazing. It's one of my favorite. Most of the major Scotch brands, they have, whether it's a younger or an older, they have a sherry cask finish.
There's almost a grapey kind of note on the nose here. You can almost get that kind of sherry kind of thing. It's
so for Dalmore in general, the Dalmore, I always get raisins. I get raisins on the nose, no matter what the finish is or which one it is. But I don't get raisins on the taste.
It's kind of like so I get a similar thing with Glenlivet is always very apple to me, very like green apple kind of on the nose. How are you feeling about this?
I like it. I think it's really good. Yeah, I just had a little bit of it.
He's been doing research.
I was looking to see if they had more on their website.
He's not a doctor, but he is doing research.
No, their website is equally unhelpful.
Yeah, it's usually just a list that you scroll through.
Yeah.
And
So
there's a QR code on here, and I thought that
generally speaking, though, so if you go buy a Dalmore 12-year, and it's not the sherry cask, this is going to be the same distillate that will just have a different finish on it. And that finish in the cask, they're gonna age it for however many years. The age statement's on the bottle, but the finish can be anywhere from
1 day to 2 years, 3 years.
Yeah,
4 years.
and it's usually, I think, with most of the
6 months to a couple of years is usually the standard.
You completed my thought for me. You complete me. Aww. I just did a little heart thing. Thanks for covering me on that. Yeah, and so Dalmore, I'm familiar with Dalmore. I've had many of those. We talked earlier a little bit about the cigar malt, and the cigar malt's so good. This one right here has, and I think this is a Dalmore thing too. Like you were mentioning the raisin thing. Like one of the things that it reminded me, because I haven't had it in a while, is there's a slight tobacco-y kind of flavor to it as well, in a really nice way.
This is Dalmore in general is one of my favorite scotches to pair with a cigar. Yeah. And it doesn't matter the expression.
Yeah, it's gonna go no matter what's happening. It's gonna be
one of the things I like about this is there's a good burn in the mouth, and there's a good burn going down, and you feel that burn 2 minutes later. I mean, it stays with you.
But it's a friendly and sweet burn.
Yeah. It's not overly harsh.
No, it's not like smooth. It's much more gentle than that. The retro hail on this is also very telling. There's some brown sugar kind of almost sweet, like cake kind of notes or brownie kind of notes coming out of there too. It's very sweet. It's
a sweeter scotch, but you don't get the normal things. Of course, with bourbon, everybody says vanilla and caramel. Or
right. Yeah,
you don't get.
You definitely get the wood though coming up on the end of this. Now, listen, we're going to come back in just a few moments, talk a little bit more about this. We got drinking news coming up in just a few moments. We got 2 more beers to get through and one to shotgun. We'll see you back in moments. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the show that brings you spirits, craft spirits, hand-rolled cigars, craft beer, and everything else. We are smoking and toasting. I'm in the studio with Alan Denny.
What's up?
He's coming to co-host today as Cruz is out on vacation. He's smoking fat cigars and floating down the river and probably drinking the
one of those
IPA. Sorry, I'm blanking. Yes, drinking the Lone Pine IPA, and then and having a good time. So we're in here covering for his missing self. I've got Blake Niederhofer in the studio. We're having a good old time today. We're going to get into actually in this segment we're going to get into the Zytophile series. We're going to learn all about that. I want to talk a little bit more about this whiskey. By the way, I think you're out of it.
Yeah,
like we bottle killed this thing.
Yeah,
you only brought in so much, and that's okay. But we bottle killed it. That's a beautiful thing. I'm sitting here sipping and enjoying.
It's probably best that we were limited.
That's true too. You were taking pictures of the bottle, even.
Well, it's gorgeous. Yeah. Well, it had a
QR
like
code.
you said, there's not a whole lot going on the bottle to tell us what's in it. It has a QR code on the back, which takes you to a website that tells you equally nothing.
Equally nothing. Dalmore subscribes to the school of whiskey good. Drink this.
I noticed where that QR code, it's got the hologram of the
It does
stag
the stag head, yeah.
And you got to wonder, are they trying to make sure that no one duplicates the bottle? We don't want you using this bottle and putting fake liquor in it.
Yeah, there's so
Maybe.
many like.
So good though.
Yeah.
That sherry cask is so good. So, you were talking about you guys have a barrel program, and last year you didn't do it because you did a double yellow rose was
Sure.
the one that I couldn't remember a minute ago. I don't know why I couldn't remember that. But you did a double yellow rose, but you usually do a barrel program where you do. Well,
Yeah,
tell us
so
about it.
usually once a year we release about a 30 barrel batch, sometimes a little more, sometimes a little less, of a barrel aged beer. My favorite that we've done was an imperial stout that we aged in Appleton rum barrels, and it turned out amazingly well.
Appleton rum, nice.
Yeah. So they were used on the Appleton estate for quite some time. They were originally retired Jack Daniel's barrels because they can only use theirs once.
Right.
And then the Appleton bought them and used them for a time, and then we put imperial stout in there, and then we put in a small pouch of different flavorings to go with it. So we had some clove in there, and we had some vanilla in there, and we had some peppercorns, and so it turned out really, really amazing.
And how satisfying is it for you guys just to kind of experiment with that kind of stuff and then come out with a product that's outrageous at the end? You gotta love that.
It's very, very satisfying. Unfortunately, because of all of the variables that go into it, they're extremely hard to duplicate. So,
Yeah.
You get something that you're like, man, this is amazing. I'll never have it again.
So
Like,
I got to be
it's
honest.
just
I
us.
celebrate those differences. A lot of times when I go to a place, like if I come out to a brewery, and I've had like most of these beers before, I'm almost always going to try the one or the ones that I haven't had. That's going to be my next go-to. And I know a lot of people aren't like that, but you guys have 4 in your core line, and then you rotate a bunch of other stuff. Do you find that there are people that just come out and this is the only beer they drink, or do you get a more varied kind of like I want to try different things audience?
It depends. Some of the stuff that we do that is, I would say, not on your typical beer side. Like we do a ginger beer that is very ginger and lime forward. It's 6%, so it's not one of the NA ginger beers like a lot of people have. And we have some other stuff like that, like the Berliner Weiss, that doesn't taste like what people are used to tasting in beer. So we do get people that come out from time to time that say, oh man, this is, I'm not a beer drinker, but this is the only one I drink. I've got a buddy of mine, he will only drink Yellow Rose if it's beer. And anything else, if he's out at a restaurant, he immediately switches to whiskey or something else, but he will not drink anything else.
Just that's it.
Yeah, and he's just very adamant that that's the only beer I drink.
Only beer. At least it's a good beer, because I've met many people in my life that Bud Light is or Miller Lite is their only beer that they ever drink, and everything else tastes
They
terrible.
don't know any better. Are y'all doing the barrel program this year?
I'm not sure. We have an ongoing barrel program that we are always releasing barrel aged beers at the brewery. The larger one that we do yearly releases of, I'm not sure if we're doing one this year. Like I said, it usually comes out around Christmas time, so it'd probably already have to be in the barrel. So I doubt we're going to do one unless it's something that ages really quickly.
Well, if y'all do, me and Ian volunteers tribute. We'll come out and sacrifice ourselves for quality control.
Very good of you to fall on that sword. So I'll let you
You probably
guys
don't have
know.
other people volunteer for that, but we're willing to stick our.
No one's ever said, "Oh, I volunteer as a taste tester." That we've never heard that.
Never heard that
Yeah.
once.
See, that's something that we came up with. by
You
ourselves.
probably never heard. I'm with the band.
It's a funny thing. Like my little brother, back in the day, I used to tell him, "Hey, man, I don't have any room on the guest list, but if you just take this cable with you and just show up with the door guy and be like, I have to get this to the band, they'll let you in every time." He learned a very valuable lesson that day. You know what time it is, guys?
Drinking news.
Drinking News is a portion of our program where we talk about things that are fun to talk about when you're drinking. It doesn't mean that they're actually about drinking, although sometimes they are, but they are most fun to talk about when they're drinking. Playing the part of Cruz, telling the drinking news story today, will be Alan. Playing the part of guest on the show will be Blake.
Yes.
And playing the part of Ian will be somewhat tipsy Ian. And here we go. Drinking news, drinking news. Now it's time for drinking news, drinking news, drinking news. Now it's time for drinking news. A Florida man with one arm said he had a gator for a pet. When asked about his absent arm, he said,
Had to take my gator to the vet.
drinking news, drinking news. Now it's time for drinking news.
Cheers, y'all.
Yeah,
You know, it's such a catchy song.
it is. It's very catchy.
So here's this doesn't involve alcohol, but boy, this story was good when I was drinking
This
alcohol.
will make you drink alcohol.
So Don and Jan Schultz moved.
Very nice couple.
They are a fantastic couple. They moved from Yuma, Arizona to New Iberia, Louisiana.
As you do. Like, I just need a little bit of humidity in my life.
Yeah, you know, they and probably transfer of job or bought a new house. I'm sure they were very
Retirement,
excited.
maybe?
Yeah, and so
You don't think they moved there for the art scene and the?
it could have
you know,
been. It probably was definitely the craft beer selection
There you go,
in
yeah.
New Iberia, Louisiana. So they were asleep in their bed, and they were woken up by their Australian cattle dog, Panda. Panda was expressly, see, Panda Express, huh?
Nice.
Was expressly going crazy upstairs. As amazing as it was, Don got up. He's 62 years old.
Oh, yeah.
And he grabbed his Glock from the nightstand and went downstairs.
So in Arizona, it's all open carry. You know that, right?
100%.
You're 100%
Yeah.
open carry.
And
so,
so
yes, you have a gun.
He went downstairs because the dog was going crazy. They heard a thump, and he went down to confront whatever the problem was.
To confront the thump, if you will.
And when he got down there, he said he jumped back to get out of the way of the 5-foot alligator that was downstairs.
And that's only a medium-sized alligator.
Yeah,
Come
that's
on.
not even a big alligator. As a matter of
So
fact,
like this story is a little less shocking because we're here in Houston.
yeah, we
I've got
know
a
about
bigger
it.
alligator on a
5 foot.
trap line.
Well, you know,
That's adolescent.
as part of this story, they were talking about later a 9-foot alligator in North Carolina that ate a woman.
Oh.
This is just recently. But
Small lady.
as he got down there, they had originally gotten Panda to defend them from rattlesnakes, which are a big problem in Arizona.
Arizona, yeah.
However, an alligator was a larger, toothier problem.
Definitely has more teeth than a snake.
Jan said, "I'm glad the Lord gave us a smart dog." The sheriff showed up. As they called the police, the sheriff didn't even believe them that there was an alligator in the home, and no one would answer the door because they couldn't get to the door.
Because they were stuck on the stairs and the alligator
Because they
was...
were. So she didn't believe him, and he had to take a photo. Eventually, the state wildlife and fisheries department came in and got in, and in old Western style, they lassoed the alligator.
All right, hold on. There's a part of this I got to talk about. If you live in Louisiana and you are law enforcement in Louisiana, and someone calls and says there's an alligator in my house, why would you not believe that?
I don't know.
I would understand this if you're in Minot, North Dakota, and someone says, "Hey, man, there's an alligator in my house." I get the skepticism there. But you live in Louisiana. And listen, I grew out in the country in Liberty, Texas, right? And I lived in town in Liberty, Texas, and I have had an alligator in my yard. All right?
We were over at Cam's house not too
In
long
Beaumont,
ago.
right?
Yeah, in Beaumont.
Yeah,
And people, me and Cam are drinking beer and smoking cigars in the backyard, and we hear screaming. And across the street, a woman had gone outside and was fixing to get in her car, and she happened to see the tail. There was an alligator underneath her car, and the snout of it was right by her door.
Oh, shit. Jeez. Can you even imagine?
So after the authorities got there and they lassoed the alligator, and they figured out the alligator came in through the doggy door.
Oh, you're going to need a better dog door.
Yeah, and it had snuck in through the hole in their house.
Through the dog door, yes.
They say that one of the reasons that the alligator probably came in is the alligator was hot, and it was probably looking for air conditioning.
Refreshment.
Because the hotter it's been getting, the alligators are actually moving north as far as into the Missouri and Mississippi rivers, trying to get out of all the heat and humidity. So it even shows the alligators are scared of all the heat.
So what are we doing here if even the alligators are smart enough to leave?
I saw one of those memes recently that just had a marquee out there that said, for all of you that aren't from Texas, we're still just preheating.
This is kind of the morbid part, but this was Tuesday. Hilton Head Island, South Carolina, a 9-foot 9-inch alligator killed a 69-year-old woman out walking her dog. The alligator was euthanized. In the article. Hey, I bet whoever got to euthanize it,
terrifying.
I hope they got to eat it.
Or at least got a belt.
Yeah.
That
Pair of boots.
pair of boots. That is terrifying. Alligators. Look, if you've never actually seen an alligator, next time you're driving down I-10, you're going to see a sign somewhere that says, "Come see the alligators." Like when you can actually physically see an alligator and you're separated by a fence, it's a lot scarier than like seeing a picture of one.
And that is today's drinking news.
It's basically a dinosaur.
Pretty much.
Drinking news. Now it's time for drinking news.
Cheers, y'all.
This beer. How do you like this beer? This is not your style. You don't like IPAs very much, but what are you thinking over there?
So, I'm not a huge IPA guy.
Alan's Googling how to be polite.
No, I hold no shame. I'm transparent. It's better than the other one.
Yeah.
It's not something I could drink it. If I'm over at your house and you say, here's a can of this, try it. I think I would like it colder than room temperature on this. I'm going to drink it, and I'm not going to go, I'm going to drink it, and I'm going to enjoy it for what it is. I will say this, there are people that are going to appreciate this a lot more than I will, but I do get what you were getting at when you created this. So right. I'm not this is horrible, which I have with a lot of IPAs.
So which Zytophile is this?
Right, so let me give you just a quick rundown on the series itself. We put one out every quarter, and we typically use either hops that most people aren't familiar with or experimental hops. And so the two that I brought here today, the first one that we're drinking right now is made with Nectaron. So they're all single hop and single malt IPAs. That means we always use Pilsner malt because it's not going to overwhelm the hop. And then we use an experimental hop, and we put out a new one every quarter. This one that we're drinking right now is Nectaron. We also have one that's so new, the hop is so new it hasn't been named yet. So it's YQH 1320. It's just
that's less fun than Nectaron.
Right.
Nectaron sounds like an evil trying to take over a galaxy type of sci-fi villain.
So we actually did one with Galaxy hops too. But so the idea behind it is for you to get to try what each of these hops is really about. And so this one is Nectaron. This was our next to last one. The one we did last we have here today, the experimental hop. But that's kind of it's an education for us, but it's also an education for the folks in the beer drinking world that may not. Usually when beers, especially hoppy beers, are made, they're made with a blend of several different hops.
So you get to try
You're like, this is what this hop is about. So this beer that you're drinking is all about Nectaron. And then the next one we're having will be all about the experimental.
So it starts basically with the same character of beer, but your hop is the big difference between, so you have that kind of control. Well, listen, we're gonna take a short break. We'll come back in just a few minutes. We're gonna try that last Zytophile right there, and then there might be a beer shotgun.
We're gonna watch Ian shotgun a beer.
You get to hear Alan with the blow-by-blow on the shotgun.
Boom.
Yeah, here we are again, smoking and toasting, coming back at you. This is the show that's all about fine hand-rolled cigars, craft whiskey, craft beer, and Alan Denny is our co-host today, and Blake Niederhofer is our guest in the studio with Lone Pint. You've poured one of your new Zytophiles, the next Zytophile in the line. So tell me about the hops on this.
So the hop on this one is super sexy name, YQH1320.
So hot.
This is so this is still very experimental. It's not a hop that's widely used yet. It's brand new to the market. If it becomes popular, they'll name it and you'll hear about it. But we were able to get an advanced couple of boxes of it, and so we made this new Zythophile for it. So anyway, it's got a lot of amazing flavors to it. You guys tend to have a much better palate vocabulary than I do, so I'll let you talk about it more than me.
That's nicely put.
So this is basically the same beer but different hop.
Exactly. So Yellow Rose,
it's
this
night
one
and
and this one,
100%.
So both of the Zythophiles and Yellow Rose are almost identical when it comes to the malt beer bill. Now the beer is so different because the hop is so different.
So I have had more different IPAs today than I ever had any day in my entire life. And I will tell you, except for the first one, the Yellow Rose, which the Smash IPA.
Yeah, that one's garbage.
And I told you off air, I'm not going to. I almost cussed, but I didn't. I'm not going to crap on somebody's beer, but that was not my jam at all. But everything else I've kind of enjoyed.
Right on.
I mean, it's not horrible. This is something I'd be like, oh no. But this one, I don't know what it is, but that hop is weird, and this reminds me of funky rum. That's what it is. It's dank,
I'll tell
and
you
there's something different
what I get.
about it.
There is a dank's a good word. There's a little bit of dankness to it. There's a little funk to it, but it kind of has a bitterness reminiscent of an ESB, kind of almost that kind of bitterness to it. But it's not that just obnoxious hop bitter or pine kind of bitter. It's kind of more forward on the tongue kind of bitter, like in an ESB. It's an interesting.
Yeah, no, this particular hop I'm really quite fond of. I've been drinking a lot of this the last few weeks, and I'm really hoping that
that's called research.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's quality control as well. So
quality control and research.
So I really hope this one goes somewhere, and I hope that we can get this hop again.
Be interesting to see. Then now, did you use all of what you had, or is it something you're going to take and maybe blend a little bit, or
we used all of what we had right now, but I'm hoping we can get some more. So we'll have to see.
There we have it.
Sometimes when things get popular, like when Mosaic got popular, it was almost impossible to get. So.
Yeah, well, then you can get it anytime, and then it becomes in everything.
Yep.
It becomes ubiquitous. So wrapping things up, what a great show. What a fun show. Thank you guys so much.
It's been a great show.
For coming out. We're recording on a different day. We had a few technical difficulties earlier in the week, and we're recording on a different day today. That makes it a little bit tougher for our producer in the sky to get this out, Adam. And thank you to Terry for getting everything done over here and coming in at a different time as well. I'm super happy about that. Now is the time of the program, though.
So Ian's got one of those special little shotgunner.
So
keys.
this tool that you brought is a multi-tool. This is a tool.
It really is quite good.
And this is made for shotgunning a beer. Like for those of you watching the video, look at this thing. This is made to pierce a can, so as to get the maximum enjoyment out of your can in the fastest possible way.
And they are available both for purchase at the Lone Pint Brewery and through our website.
That's pretty amazing. So I'm going to go ahead and do this because you know what? We don't shotgun enough beer on this program. So I'm going to let Alan
play-by-play, blow-by-blow.
I'm going to let Alan do the play-by-play here. We got about a minute and a half left on this program.
Ladies and gentlemen.
And here
Should
it
not
goes.
take that.
We're going to see if this goes everywhere or not. So I'm going to do this above the table, right?
All right, we've got
so
the
this
gentleman's
part
relish.
Here we
is
go.
for
I'm gonna move
piercing
back
the
by
can.
Set onto the can. It is being cracked as we speak. Oh, there it goes. We did make a mess.
Everywhere. It's all over
All
my
right.
face even.
Put it in your mouth, baby. Put it in your mouth.
Okay.
Oh, the beer. Here we go. Crack. Oh, there it all goes. It's going down fast, quick, and in a hurry. I keep going. That hole was not big enough, obviously, for the shotgun, because that's what I'm talking about.
That thing went everywhere. You know, I got the nitro beer just so that I figured it wouldn't go as far.
Yeah, maybe the nitro beer was not the best experiment for that. Just saying.
I think it was perfect.
The only thing that would have been better is if it had the little nitro ball in it.
There you go, yeah.
Blake, that'll make you proud.
Yeah.
Is this the first time you've seen someone actually shotgun a
relish, yeah. I think that's the
Gentleman's
first
relish?
time.
I have this. It's all over my glasses. For when I open it.
This
Looks
was
like somebody
amazing.
needs a safety
I
shot.
love that it's a. It's
We
such
just
a
won't tell
beautiful
the
exterior.
engineer
Listen,
that-
guys.
That happened.
I know
Yeah.
that was silly. We had a great time this week. Cruz will be back with us next week. Looks like we got Cavassier coming on up here in the near future. That's going to be a good time. You guys have an absolutely wonderful week. Thank you to Terry. Thank you to Adam. You guys rock it. Thank you to Alan. Thank you to Blake. This has been a fantastic show. Have a good
Absolutely
week.
amazing. We will see y'all next time.
Thanks for having
ladies
me.
and
It's
gentlemen.
always good to be here.
Until next time, cheers, y'all.
Cheers, y'all.
You're such a sweet little